6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch. Daylight come and me want go home. Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and me go home. Welcome into the live, everybody. Welcome, guys. You see, we are doing a late live today, but that is all right. We are here nonetheless. So roll on up, come on into the live. We are going to be doing our reading. We're going to be here for a little bit, not a long time, but just about hour two, something like that. We will be here. We are going to be doing our live without noise. It shouldn't be so loud. Yeah, that sounds better. That's about the right tempo right there. And we are going to be reading. Yeah. Happy Wednesday, Kim. How are you doing, my love? How are you doing? So good to see you. On this here Wednesday, we are a little bit late with the reading, but stuff like that happens sometimes when you got stuff to do. And so we are going to be continuing the reading of the book of Judges. Yeah, we are on to the book of Judges, and this is where we have found our first female judge. We have found our first female judge called Deborah. Okay, so we are going to be reading some more to see what was Deborah's contribution to the children of Israel and what went on after Joshua died. Because remember in Judges chapter, I think it was chapter 3, we read that Joshua passed away. All right, so now we watch ya. I saw me say too. Yeah, Angie's in the place. What's up? Yeah, so here I am showing myself and all myself. Oh my gosh. I should let you all see me, but no worry yourself. Y'all know how I look. Yeah, so you will be okay. Y'all will be okay. We are going to be reading the book of Judges, guys. So if you have your book Bible or your Google Bible, come on in and let us read the book of Judges. We are on Judges chapter 5. We read 1 through 4 yesterday. And we discovered that the children of Israel, they had their land that Joshua had divided up for them. And they were still going around and taking more land. More and more land, more land and more land. And also we found where there was the leader after Joshua passed away, and then there was the other leader. Now Deborah has become the judge. Yeah, so Deborah is now the judge for the children of Israel. Let's see what Deborah is up to, because this is the first time since we've been reading the Bible that we are seeing a woman in any position at all, let alone to be the judge. All right, so let us move on. We are on to chapter 5. Then sang Deborah and Barak. Maybe it should say Michelle. But anyway, then sang Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinoam, on that day, saying, Praise ye the Lord for the avenging of Israel, when the people willingly offered themselves. Hear, O ye kings, give ear, O ye princes. I, even I, will sing unto the Lord. I will sing praise to the Lord God of Israel. Lord, When thou wentest out of Seir, when thou marchest out of the field of Edom, the earth trembled and the heavens dropped. The clouds also dropped water. The mountains melted from before the Lord, even that Sinai from before the Lord God of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, the son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the highways were unoccupied, and the travelers walked through byways. The inhabitants of the villages ceased. They ceased. They ceased in Israel until that I, Deborah, arose. That I arose a mother in Israel. Hey, Cartian, how you doing? I saw them get Westmoreland. I believe you. You're too funny. Okay, AG is driving and listening. Thank you so much, my love. I sincerely appreciate you. That's how they get Westmoreland. Yes, just more land and more land and more land. Verse 8. They chose new gods. Then was war in the gates. Was there a shield or spear seen among 40,000 in Israel? My heart is toward the governors of Israel, that offer themselves willingly among the people. Bless he the Lord. Speak he that ride on white asses, he that sit in judgment, and walk by the way. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates. Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake, utter a song. Arise, Barak, and lead thy captivity captive, thou son of Abinoam. When he made him that remaineth have dominion over the nobles among the people, the Lord made me have dominion over the mighty. Out of Ephraim was there a root of them against Amalek. After thee, Benjamin, among thy people, out of Masher came down governors, and out of Zebulun, they that handle the pen of the writer. And the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, even Issachar, and also Barak. He was sent on foot into the valley. All right, Barak was sent on foot into the valley. For the divisions of Reuben, there were great thoughts of heart. Why abodest thou among the sheepfolds, to hear the bleatings of the flocks? For the divisions of Reuben, there were great searchings of heart. Gilead abode beyond Jordan. And why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued on the seashore and abode in his beaches. Verse 17 again. Gilead abode beyond Jordan. And why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued on the seashore and abode in his breeches. Who is that, Jojo? Joe, what's up? How you doing, my love? Guess what, Joe? I just picked 3 very, very ripe strawberries off my little vine. On a vine. My little strawberry bush, whatever they call it. Oh my gosh, guys. I wish I could be here. I could share my 3 strawberries. 3 beautiful strawberries I just harvested. To think that I planted them. When did I plant them again? Was it in February, I believe? I think it was in February or in early March. And here they are already. I'm able to harvest. All right, let's continue the reading. We are on chapter 5, verse 18 of the book of Judges. Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that jeoparded their lives unto the death in the high places of the field. The kings came and fought. Then fought the kings of Canaan in Tanakh by the water of Megiddo. They took no gain of money. They fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sarah. The river of Kishon swept them away. That ancient river, the river Kishon, O my soul, thou hast trodden down strength. Then were the horse hooves broken by the means of the prancings of their mighty ones. Curse ye, Meroz, said the angel of the Lord, curse ye bitterly the inhabitants thereof, because they came not to the help of the Lord, against the mighty. Blessed above women shall Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite be. Blessed shall she be above women in the tent. Hold on, guys. Let me see who this calling me. Kind of look important-ish. Okay, I'm back, guys. Keisha is Keisha, how are you? Look at Keisha now from 1 minute. See Keisha. Keisha, how you doing? How have you been doing, my love? So good to see you as always. Ay. There's nobody. Keisha, Sika dear, you can copy from our paper, even though we're not doing quiz today. We're going to quiz. We're going to quiz Friday night. Yeah, Friday night we do it. Friday night we're doing quiz. Oh my gosh. Let us move on. Keisha, we're reading the book of Judges chapter 5. We are on right now. We are on to verse 25. He asked water, and she gave him milk. She brought forth butter in the Lordish dish. She put her hand to the nail, and her right hand to the worker's hammer. And with the hammer she smote Sisera. She smote off his head. When she had pierced and stricken through his temples, oh Lord! At her feet he bowed, he fell, he lay down. At her feet he bowed, he fell. Where he bowed, there he fell down dead. OMG. Verse 28. The mother of Sisera looked out at a window and cried through the lattice, why is his chariot so long in coming? Why tarry the wheels of his chariot? That means why his chariot is taking so long to come. Why his chariot is taking so long to reach. That's what Sarah's mother was crying out about. OMG. Her wise ladies answered her, yea, she returned answer to herself. Have they not sped? Have they not divided the prey? To every man a damsel or two, to Sisera a prey of divers colors, a prey of divers colors of needlework on both sides, meat for the necks of them that took the spoil. So let all thine enemies perish, O Lord, but let them that love him be as the sun when he goeth forth in his might. And the land had rest 40 years. James is in the place. King Morgan is in the place. King Morgan, how are you doing, my love? So good to see you, James. Give. So good to see you, my dear. How are you doing? Hope everybody's having a fantastic Wednesday afternoon. Well, it is nice and sunny here in southeastern North Carolina. Yes, it is nice and sunny, and actually, it's a beautiful day. Been a beautiful day all day. And don't forget to hit the like button, guys. If when you come in, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you didn't hit it coming in, hit it on your way out, please. And thank you. All right, so that was the end of chapter 5 of the book of Judges. Now, if you have your book Bible or your Google Bible, follow along, please, as we read this book. Remember, now we are no theologians over here. What we are trying to do is to read this book for ourselves, because after all, the book has so much influence on all of our lives, spiritually, financially, romantically, in every way. This book has an influence on our lives, and so that is why we have taken it upon ourselves to read this book from chapter to chapter until we are done. All right, so come on with me, guys, and let us continue reading. We are on to chapter 6, the book of Judges. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. All right. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel. And because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and caves and strongholds. Guys, you all notice what I noticed? That every time the children of Israel are quote unquote disobedient to God, somebody end up taking them for slaves. Oh, another shooting in Atlanta today. Oh Lord, me just tired. When it comes to hearing of the shooting, it made me just tired. Honestly, I'm weary. I'm weary and I'm tired. I mean, it's not even okay for us to throw up our hands and say we have given up, but I'm just weary of it. I'm just tired of it. Believe me, it is just heartbreaking that people could sit up in high places and see the problem, refuse to do anything about it because money is more important. And people keep dying every day because there are crazy people. People have been so desensitized towards the feelings of everybody else. Why? Because they know they have a gun. So they can settle every score. Every score they can settle with a gun by causing somebody's death. It is just crazy. All right, Keisha says the world is coming to an end. I can tell you, my sister, it certainly is. Certainly is. I mean, it's too much. But we are going to continue reading the book of Judges. We are going to continue reading. We are going to continue reading the book of Judges, and we are on to Judges chapter 6 and verse 3. And so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites, and the children of the east, even they came up against them. And they encamped against them, and destroyed the increase of the earth, till thou come unto Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ass, nor ox. Oh, God says it looks like it was at a hospital. Oh, Jesus. So all the time I go to work, me feel afraid to sometimes. I feel afraid, because sometimes I just think that, People be doing others so wrong all the time, and I just think somebody go and just so it's always my perpetual fear that when I see people keep doing others wrong, I just figure that, one day somebody is just going to go berserk. It's going to be, oh God, Jesus, please don't let it, because it is just scary. You can't even go anywhere. When I'm in the hospital and I see people coming, like family members are angry and they're just, nobody is searched coming into the hospital. We don't have like metal detectors or anything. Anybody just walk right in. All they got is a sign that no guns are permitted, but people break rules all the time. So I'm just like, oh, man, Jesus. Trev, please, I really don't want to hear nothing about shooting. I am tired. Joseph, you're not alone. Me tired. You notice me top care them news, they call me tired. Me tired. When me tell you tired, I am tired. Tired. Me not even watch, me not even follow them up on YouTube anymore. Because I am tired of it. Every day. Every day. Yeah, I just want to hear things that are other things. And not like we can hide from it. We can't hide from it because it's everywhere. But I don't want to hear it. Oh God. It is just too much. But anyway, we are going to move on. We are on to the book of Judges, chapter 6, and verse 5. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt, and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drove them out from before you, and gave you their land. I want to hear if anybody win any money. I want to share some. Exactly, that me want to hear too. That's what I want to hear too, Keisha. If anybody wins some money, I want to share some with me. Oh Lord. And drove them out of the land before you, and gave you their land. You hear the Lord telling them? Everybody who tried to oppress you, I drove them out of their land and gave it to you. And I said unto you, I am the Lord your God. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell, but ye have not obeyed my voice. And there came an angel of the Lord, and sat under an oak, which was in Ophrah. Oh, this almost spelled like Oprah, but it has an H, an extra H, so it's Ophra. And sat under an oak which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash, the Abiezrite, and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him, and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? That's a great question. Because if the Lord be with you, why you are always somebody's slave? Why the people are always taking advantage of you if the Lord is with you all the time? So that's a fair question. Verse 13, and Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of? Ain't those the same questions that we are asking now? I We're asking the same questions. People are asking the same questions about slavery, where people are saying, how could the slave and the slave master be serving the same God? Then, if the slave master is serving the same God and saying that God told them to make you slaves, and you are the slave and you are serving the same God, and you are asking, why am I in this position? Why can't you take me out of this position? How could the same God be dealing out the um two different punishments if he loved everybody the same? And that is a fair question. Why you made my people slaves and you made the others to be slave masters over my people, but then you want my soul and you want my money? It's a fair question. Because if you getting my soul and you're getting my money like you're getting their soul and their money, shouldn't we get the same treatment? Verse 13, and Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us, and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. And the Lord looked upon him, and said, Go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And the Lord said unto him, Surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. And the fresh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak tree, and presented it. And the angel of God said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Sister Monica is in the place. Sister Monica, how you doing? Whitney, what's up? Good to see you, my love. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are reading the book of Judges. We are on to chapter 6 now. So if you have your book Bible or your Google Bible, follow along with us. Verse 19 of chapter 6. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid, and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour, and flesh he put in a basket. And he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak tree, and presented it. And the angel of God said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Verse 21. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes. And there rose up a fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight. And when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, Peace be unto you. Fear not, thou shalt not die. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord, and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day it is yet in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. Verse 25. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, Take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that thy father hath, and cut down the grove that is by it, and build an altar unto the Lord thy God upon the top of this rock, in the ordered place. And take the second bullock, and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove, which thou shalt cut down. This is the angel of the Lord giving Gideon instructions now. Verse 27. Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as the Lord had said unto him. And so it was, because he feared his father's household and the men of the city, that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. Can you imagine? All night you cutting down a whole grove and nobody heard you? Not a one soul heard? So it was not until the morning that they found out what Gideon had done. And they said one to another, Who hath done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, hath done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, Bring out thy son, that he may die, because he hath cast down the altar of Baal, and because he hath cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, Will he plead for Baal? Will he save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death whilst it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one hath cast down his altar. Verse 32. Therefore on that day he called him Jerubbaal, saying, Let Baal plead against him, because he hath thrown down his altar. So, right there, did Joash change the name of his son Gideon to Jerubbaal? I'm sure we will find that out as we continue to read. Or if somebody in the chat knows, let me know. Did Joash change the name of his son Gideon to Jerubbaal? Not sure. Let's continue. Verse 33. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together, and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, and unto Zebulun, and unto Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. And Gideon said unto God, If thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. Guys, here is Gideon. Gideon is still so doubtful. You want to make sure this is God. If you are God, do this. If you are God, show me this, show me that. I mean, some of us are like that. We really need to see the proof before we believe everything that we are being told. Verse 29, and Gideon said unto God, let verse 37, that is, let's read verse 27. Behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. And it was so, for he rose up early on the morrow, and thrust the fleece together, and wring the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. And Gideon said unto God, let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry upon only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And God did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground. So here Gideon was trying to prove that God was God, that this was indeed God who had powers, to do the impossible. And so he said, well, if you are God, why don't you, if you are God, why don't you let the dew fall only on this piece of cotton? And if you are God again, let the dew fall around, but let the cotton remain dry. And so God did both those things, and and so Gideon was now convinced, because remember, God told him that he wasn't going to die, and the men had come to take his life because he had cut down the grove and destroyed Baal's altar. So he wanted to prove to God that you said I wasn't going to die. Now I want to be sure that I ain't going to die, because I don't want these people to make me die. So you have to prove to me that you have all that power to not make me die when I go out to do what you send me to do. Chapter 7. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon. Okay, yeah, so here we find the answer. That's the one good thing with the Bible. It always repeats itself and give you clarity when you're confused about something. Okay, so indeed, let me write this here. Gideon is Jerubbaal. I'm not sure that is pronounced Jerubbaal. Chapter 7. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him, rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh, in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me. Now therefore go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000. So there were 32,000 people who went up on the hill of Gilead with Gideon. And now 22,000 of them left. When he gave them the offer, if you are worried that you might die, then leave now. They left. Verse 4. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And of whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people unto the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, every one that lappeth of the water with his tongue, as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, every one that boweth down upon his knees to drink. Huh? And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. How many? 300 of them were willing to lap up the water like a dog. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hands, and let all the other people go every man unto his place. So the Lord kind of performed a little weeding out right there. He performed a little weeding out of the people so that he could have just the right number of people to go attack the Midianites. Verse 8. So the people took victuals in their hand and their trumpet, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man unto his tent, and retained those 300 men, and the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thine hand. But if thou fear to go down, go thou with Phurah, thy servant, down to the host. And thou shalt hear what they say, and afterwards shall thine hands be strengthened to go down unto the host. Then went he down with Phurah his servant unto the outside of the armed men that were in the host. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the children of the east lay along in the valley like grasshoppers for multitude, and their camels were without number, as the sand by the seaside for multitude. And when Gideon was come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellows, and said, behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the host of Midian, and came unto a tent, and smote it that it fell, and overturned it, that the tent lay along. And his fellow answered and said, this is nothing else save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. For into his hand hath God delivered Midian and all the host. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped and returned unto the host of Israel, and said, arise, for the Lord hath delivered into your hand the host of Midian. And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies. And he put a trumpet in every man's hand, with empty pitchers, and lamps within the pitchers. And he said unto them, look on me, and do likewise. And behold, when I come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that, as I do, so shall he do. When I blow with a trumpet, I and all that are with me, then blow he the trumpets also on every side of all the camp, and say the word of the Lord and of Gideon. So Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had put newly set of watch, and they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. We see that in the Bible they use the trumpets a lot. Remember when we were reading in Nehemiah, how Nehemiah also used the trumpets when he set the people to guard each of the gates of Jerusalem. They had trumpets to sound whenever the enemy was spotted. So here they are using trumpets again. Let's move on. We are on to verse 19. Let's read that again. So Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers, and held the lamps in their left hands, and the trumpets in their right hands to blow withal. And they cried, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. And they stood every man in his place round about the camp, and all the host ran and cried and fled. And the 300 blew the trumpets, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the host. Even throughout all the host. And the host fled to Beth Shittah in Zererath, and to the border of Abel Meholah unto Tabbath. And the men of Israel gathered themselves together out of Naphtali, and out of Asher, and out of all Manasseh, and pursued after the Midianites. And Gideon sent messengers throughout all Mount Ephraim, saying, Come down against the Midianites, and take before them the waters unto Bethbarah and Jordan. Then all the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and took the waters unto Bethbarah and Jordan. Verse 25, and this is the last verse in chapter 7. And they took 2 princes of the Midianites, Oreb and Zeb, and they slew Oreb upon the rock Oreb, and Zeb they slew at the winepress of Zeb, and pursued Midian, and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon on the other side of Jordan. Mighty God of Daniel. They took 2 princes of the Midianites, Oreb and Zeb, and they slew them and brought their heads to Gideon. Yeah. And we talk about how there was so much, it just seemed like they glorified slaughtering each other. They glorified it. And I say, wow. But those were supposed to be the children of Israel. And they were being led by their God. And this is what they were being led to do. Chapter 8. And the men of Ephraim said unto him, Why hast thou served us thus, that thou callest us not, when thou wentest to fight with the Midianites? And they did chide with him sharply. And he said unto them, What have I done now in comparison of you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? God hath delivered into your hands the princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb. And what was I able to do in comparison of you? Then their anger was abated towards him when he had said that. And Gideon came to Jordan and passed over, he and the 300 men that were with him, faint yet pursuing them. And he said unto the men of Succoth, Give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Zebunah, kings of Midian. And the princes of Succoth said, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in thine hand, that we should give bread unto thine army? And Gideon said, Therefore, when the Lord hath delivered Zebah and Zalmunna into mine hand, then I will tear your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and with briars. And he went up thence to Peniel, and spake unto them likewise. And the men of Peniel answered him, as the men of Succoth had answered him. And he spake also unto the men of Peniel, saying, When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower. Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkar, and their host with them, about 15,000 men, all that were left of all the host of the children of the east, for there fell 120,000 men that drew sword. And Gideon went up by the way of them that dwelt in tents on the east of Nobah and Jogbehah, and smote the host, for the host was secure. And when Zebah and Zalmunna fled, he pursued after them, and took the 2 kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and discomfited all the host. And Gideon the son of Joash returned from battle before the sun was up, and caught a young man of the men of Succoth, and inquired of him. And he described unto him the princes of Succoth, and the elders thereof, even 70 men. 60 is 60, 17 plus 17 is 77 men. And he came unto the men of Succoth, and said, Behold Zebah and Zalmunna, with whom he did upbraid me, saying, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in thine hand, that we should give bread unto thy men that are weary? And he took the elders of the city, and thorns of the wilderness, and briars, and with them he taught the men of Succoth. And he beat down the tower of Peniel, and slew the men of the city. Then said he unto Zebah and Zalmunna, What manner of men were they whom he slew at Tabor? And they answered, As thou art, so were they. Each one resembled the children of a king. Verse 19, And he said, They were my brethren, even the sons of my mother. As the Lord liveth, if he had saved them alive, I would not slay you. And he said unto Jether his firstborn, Up and slay them. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a youth. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, Rise thou and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength. And Gideon arose and slew Zebah and Zalmunna, and took away the ornaments that were on their camels' neck. Then the men of Israel said unto Gideon, Rule thou over us, both thou and thy son, and thy son's son also, for thou hast delivered us from the hand of Midian. And Gideon said unto them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. The Lord shall rule over you. And Gideon said unto them, I would desire a request of you, that he would give me every man the earrings of his prey, for they had golden earrings, because they were Ishmaelites. Verse 25. And they answered, We will willingly give them. And they spread a garment, and did cast therein every man the earrings of his prey. So you see, every man that they slew in battle, they took the earrings from that man. Verse 26. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold. That's the amount of earrings that they took from the people, from the men that they slew. 1,700 shekels of gold, beside ornaments and colors and purple raiment that was on the kings of Midian, and beside the chains that were about their camels' neck. So everything that they had of value, remember they had a lot of gold and silver and brass and iron, and they decorated themselves with it, and they also decorated the camels. And remember, the kings, like the priests, they wore purple garments, because purple is such a sacred color that they wore a lot of purple and gold. So they took those two because those are considered to be valuable. Verse 27. And Gideon made an ephod thereof, and put it in his city, even in Ophrah. And all Israel went thither a whoring after it, which thing became a snare unto Gideon and to his house. Thus was Midian subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted up their heads no more. And the country was in quietness for 40 years in the days of Gideon. Do you all notice that all the wars come about in every 40 years? Did anybody notice that? If you all notice that, let me know. Because it's always that the country was in quietness. Whenever it's in quietness, it means that there is no war going on. Everything is quiet, everything is at peace. And then after the 40 years, another strife comes up, another war comes up. And that is why even today, guys, I really wonder if World War III is on the horizon, or some kind of other war is on the horizon. Even though we have wars every day, right now there's a war in Sudan, there's a war in Europe. Wars are everywhere. But I wonder if it is if it's all from it's all related to the Bible, if it's all biblical, if it has any biblical component to it. I don't know. But it seems like the land always remained quiet for 40 years, and then a war comes up. Verse 29. And Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, remember Jerubbaal is Gideon himself, right? It's the same person. And Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own house. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten. So Gideon is the same person, Jerubbaal. He had 70 sons. How many sons he had? 70 sons. Gideon had 70 sons. Let's continue reading. Wow. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. And his concubine that was in Shechem, she also bore him a son, whose name he called Abimelech. Okay. So who was Abimelech's father? Gideon. Gideon was Abimelech's father. This is so interesting. So Joash was Abimelech's grandfather. And Abimelech was born to the concubine of Gideon. The concubine that he had in Shechem. So you see, guys, look at it. The Lord is supposedly using Gideon, promising Gideon he won't die. He's going up against his enemies and he won't die. Yada yada. Okay? But at the same time, Gideon has so many wives and concubines and so many children. If nowadays, if a man says that God is using him and he is preaching, if he says he's preaching, God is using him and he's spreading the word and he's a man of God and he has several wives, everybody gonna tell him, go and go sit down one side. God now gonna use nobody like you. So you go and go sit down one side. All right. All right. Can we take a look at the foolishness of our thoughts sometimes? Okay. All right. So let us continue. Just a word for the wise. Let us continue. And Gideon, the son of Joash, died in a good old age and was buried in the sepulchre of Joash his father in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. And it came to pass, as soon as Gideon was dead, that the children of Israel turned again and went a whoring after Oh my God! As soon as one of their leaders die, they forget what God did for them. They gone back again a whoring. They gone back again to doing whatever they want, serving false gods and whatever else they want to do. Verse 33, and it came to pass, as soon as Gideon was dead, that the children of Israel turned again and went a whoring after Baalim, and made Baal-berith their god. Oh Lord Jesus. And the children of Israel remembered not the Lord their God, who had delivered them out of the hands of all their enemies, and on every side. Yes, we saw 70 sons he had, with all his wives and concubines. Verse 35, neither shewed their kindness to the house of Jerubbaal, namely Gideon, according to all the goodness which he had shewed unto Israel. All right, let's move on to verse 9. Verse 9. And Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal, went. And Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal, don't forget, Jerubbaal is Gideon. Okay? And Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal, went to Shechem unto his mother's brethren, and communed with them, and with all the family of the house of his mother's father, saying, Speak, I pray you, in the ears of all the men of Shechem, whether is better for you, either that all the sons of Jerubbaal, which are 70 reign over you, or that one reign over you. Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh. And his mother's brethren spake of him in the ears of all the men of Shechem all these words. And their hearts inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, He is our brother. And they gave him three scores and 10 pieces of silver. That's 70 pieces of silver they gave to Abimelech out of the house of Baal Berith. Remember, Baal Berith is now the god that they are worshiping. Yes. So now, out of the house of the god that they are worshiping, Baal Berith, they gave Abimelech 70 pieces of silver, because he has said to his mother and his mother's people, isn't it, my dad Jerubbaal had 70 brothers, 70 sons. Isn't it better that I, of all his sons, isn't it better that I be the one to rule over here, because you are also my brethren over here in Shechem? And so they gave him the money, all the silver, and they gave him 70 pieces of silver out of the house of the god that time, because out of the house of their god, Baal Berith, wherewith Abimelech hired vain and light persons, which followed him. And he went unto his father's house at Ophrah, and slew his brethren, the sons of Jerubbaal, being 70 persons upon one stone. What? Notwithstanding yet, Jotham, the youngest son of Jerubbaal, was left, for he hid himself. So that means he didn't slay 70 then. If there were 70 sons, and then there was him, and then there was his brother Jotham, that means he slew 68 men. So I don't think that was 70 men he slew. It got to be 68. And all the men of Shechem gathered together, and all the house of Milo, and went and made Abimelech king by the plain of the pillar that was in Shechem. And when they told it to Jotham, he went and stood in the top of Mount Gerizim, and lifted up his voice, and cried, and said unto them, Hearken unto me, ye men of Shechem, that God may hearken unto you. The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them. And they said unto the olive tree, Reign thou over us. But the olive tree said unto them, Should I leave my fatness, wherewith by me they honor God and man, and go to be promoted over the trees? And the tree said to the fig tree, Come thou, and reign over us. Lord Jesus, I call the trees to come reign over them. I don't think they literally mean trees, because we know trees can't talk. When he changed the city, changes his name so he can get other women. Oh, okay. That's what he was doing. OMG. Verse 7 of chapter 9. And when they told it to Jotham, he went and stood in the top of Mount Gerizim, and lifted up his voice, and cried, and said unto them, Hearken unto me, ye men of Shechem, that God may hearken unto you. The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them. And they said unto the olive tree, Reign thou over us. But the olive tree said unto them, Should I leave my fatness, wherewith by me they honor God and man, and go to be promoted over the trees? And the tree said unto the fig trees, Come thou and reign over us. But the fig tree said unto them, Should I forsake my sweetness and my good fruit, and go to be promoted over the trees? Then said the trees unto the vine, Come thou and reign over us. And the vine said unto them, Should I leave my wine, which cheereth God and man, and go to be promoted over the trees? Then said all the trees unto the bramble, Come thou and reign over us. And the bramble said unto the trees, If in truth ye anoint me king over you, then come and put your trust in my shadow. And if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon. Now therefore, if he have done truly and sincerely, in that he have made Abimelech king, and if he have dealt well with Jerubbaal and his house, and have done unto him according to the deserving of his hands. For my father fought for you, and adventured his life far, and delivered you out of the hand of Midian. And he are risen up against my father's house this day, and have slain his sons, 70 persons upon one stone, and have made Abimelech, the son of his maidservant, king over the men of Shechem, because he is your brother. If he then have dealt truly and sincerely with Jerubbaal and with his house this day, then rejoice he in Abimelech, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come out from Abimelech, and devour the men of Shechem, and the house of Milo. And let fire come out from the men of Shechem, and from the house of Milo, and devour Milo, and devour Abimelech. That's the Bible. The Bible repeats itself, so that you get it. And Jotham ran away and fled, and went to Beer. Remember, guys, if you all remember when we were reading the book of, I think it was Leviticus. I think it was in Leviticus. Remember the place that was called Beer? That was the place that had the many fountains of water. All right. So that is also the place where Jotham ran to. Let's read that again. Verse 19. If he have dealt truly and sincerely with Jerubbaal and with his house this day, then rejoice ye in Abimelech, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come out from Abimelech, and devour the men of Shechem and the house of Milo. And let fire come out from the men of Shechem and from the house of Milo, and devour Abimelech and Jotham. Remember, Jotham and Abimelech are brothers. Don't forget that. Jotham and Abimelech are brothers. Jotham was the youngest child of Gideon or Jerubbaal. This is the same person. And he hid when Abimelech came with the men of Shechem to destroy all the people, all of his father's children. And Jotham hid. So that's how he escaped. But Abimelech took the lives of all of his other brothers. And Jotham ran away and fled and went to Beer, and dwelt there for fear of Abimelech his brother. When Abimelech had reigned 3 years over Israel, Then God sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem. And the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech, that the cruelty done to the 70 sons of Jerubbaal might come, and their blood he laid upon Abimelech their brother, which slew them, and upon the men of Shechem, which aided him in the killing of his brethren. And the men of Shechem set lairs in wait for him in the top of the mountains, and they robbed all that came along that way by them. And it was told to Abimelech. And Gaal, the son of Ebed, came with his brethren, and went over to Shechem. And the men of Shechem put their confidence in him. And they went out into the fields, and gathered their vineyards, and trod the grapes, and made merry, and went into the house of their God, and did eat and drink, and cursed Abimelech. And Gaal, the son of Ebed, said, Who is Abimelech? And who is Shechem, that we should serve him? Is not he the son of Jerubbaal? And Zebul his officer? Serve the men of Amor, and father of Shechem? For why should we serve him? And would to God this people were under my hand, then would I remove Abimelech. And he said to Abimelech, Increase thine army, and come out. Jappy, what's up? How you doing, my love? And when Jebul, the ruler of the city, heard the words of Gaal, the son of Ebed, his anger was kindled. And he sent messengers unto Abimelech privily, saying, Behold, Gaal, the son of Ebed, and his brethren be come to Shechem, and behold, they fortify the city against thee. O Lord. Now, therefore, up by night, thou and the people that is with thee, and lie in wait in the field. And it shall be that in the morning, as soon as the sun is up, thou shalt rise early, and set upon the city, and behold, when he and the people that is with him come out against thee, then mayst thou do to them as thou shalt find occasion. Beer is the B-E-E-R. B-E-E-R. Remember we read about that place where there were like, I think it was 13 fountains there? The place was called Beer, where the children of Israel had gone to fetch water because there was a drought while they were in the wilderness. Let us move on. We're gonna see. We're gonna read and see if that beer is Beersheba. It could be. It might be. But let's read. We will find it. Verse 34 of chapter 9. And Abimelech rose up, and all the people that were with him by night, and they laid wait against Shechem in 4 companies. And Gaal, the son of Ebed, went out, and stood in the entering of the gate of the city. And Abimelech rose up, and the people that were with him, from lying in wait. And when Gaal saw the people, he said to Zebul, Behold, there come people down from the top of the mountains. And Zebul said unto him, Thou seest the shadow of the mountains, as if they were men. And Gaal spake again and said, See, there come people down by the middle of the land. And another company came along by the plain of Meonim. Then said Zebul unto him, Where is now thy mouth, wherewith thou saidst, Who is Abimelech, that we should serve him? Is not this the people that thou hast despised? Go out, I pray now, and fight with them. And Gaal went out before the men of Shechem and fought with Abimelech. And Abimelech chased him, and he fled before him. And many were overthrown and wounded, even unto the entering of the gate. And Abimelech dwelt at Arumah, and Zebul thrust out Gaal and his brethren, that they should not dwell in Shechem. And it came to pass on the morrow that the people went out into the field, and they told Abimelech. And he took the people and divided them into 3 companies, and laid wait in the field, and looked, and behold, the people were come forth out of the city. And he rose up against them, and smote them. And Abimelech and the company that was with him rushed forward, and stood in the entering of the gate of the city. And the 2 other companies ran upon all the people that were in the fields, and slew them. And Abimelech fought against the city all that day, and he took the city, and slew the people that were therein, and beat down the city, and sowed it with salt. And when all the men of the tower of Shechem heard that, they entered into a hold of the house of the god Berith. And it was told Abimelech that all the men of the tower of Shechem were gathered together. And Abimelech got him up to Mount Zalmon, Zalmon, Z-A-L-M-O-N, Mount Zalmon, he and all the people that were with him. And Abimelech took an axe in his hand, and cut down a bough from the trees, and took it, and laid it on his shoulder, and said unto the people that were with him, What ye have seen me do, make haste, and do as I have done. And all the people likewise cut down every man his bow, and followed Abimelech, and put them to the hold, and set the hold on fire upon them, so that all the men of the tower of Abimelech died also, about 1,000 men and women. What kind of cult that, brother? What kind of cult was that Abimelech told them to do as he did? And everybody died, men and women. Then went Abimelech to Thebez, and encamped against Thebez, and took it. But there was a strong tower within the city, and thither fled all the men and women, and all they of the city, and shut it to them, and got them up to the top of the tower. And Abimelech came unto the tower, and fought against it, and went hard unto the door of the towers to burn it with fire. And a certain woman cast a piece of a millstone upon Abimelech's head, and all to break his skull. Then he called hastily unto the young men, his armor bearer, and said unto him, Draw my sword, and slay me, that men say not of me, a woman slew him. And his young men thrusted him through, and he died. So you see how Abimelech died? A woman who was so angry at him, she threw a stone and struck him on the head. He was supposed to die from that injury, but he didn't want it to be said that a woman had slain him. So he asked his men to take his life instead. And when the men of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, they departed every man unto his place. Thus God rendered the wickedness of Abimelech, which he did unto his father, in slaying his 70 brethren. And they keep saying 70. But I don't think he slew 70 people, because him and his brother Jotham survived. And if his father had 70 sons, then they slew 68. He slew 68. And all the evil of the men of Shechem did God render upon their hands, and upon them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jerubbaal. And all the evil of the men of Shechem did God render upon their heads, and upon them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jerubbaal. Here endeth the reading of chapter 9 of the book of Judges. Here in the reading today, we learned that Jerubbaal is the same person as Gideon, Joash's son. And though God seemed to have been using Gideon was a male whore. He had 70 sons by his wives and concubines, because he had many wives. So he had wives and he had concubines, and he had the sons with them, and he had Abimelech with his concubine that lived in Shechem. And Abimelech proved himself to be such a demon, such a devil. He gathered up the men of Shechem to go with him to go slay his blood brothers. Him and his brothers were the same father, and he went with the men to slay his brothers and slew his brothers. Only one of his brothers escaped, and that's because he was the youngest one and he chose to hide. And now here we see also in this reading where Abimelech also met his demise. At the hand of his own brethren, he asked them to take his life because he didn't want to die at the hands of a woman. And that was an Israeli woman who was so angry at him. She had thrown a stone right in his head. Okay. All right, guys. That is going to be the end of our reading for today. When we come back tomorrow, we will continue the reading of the book of the Bible, of the book of Judges. We will continue reading from verse 10. I hope you all enjoy the reading this afternoon as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. And that's going to be it from me for right now, my friends. Until next time. This is Trev from Trevestance, where your journey matters. Before I go, I want to say welcome to everybody who came into the chat. Japi and Card and Joseph and AG Born Jamaican, and I know I saw Sister Winsome as well. I saw Sister Winsome and several other people were in the chat just now, and I sincerely appreciate each and every I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you who came into the chat. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for coming. I sincerely appreciate you all. All right. Quartian was here as well. Quartian was here. King Morgan was here as well. And the lovely Keisha. Keisha was here. James Gip, Mama Walking Purpose, Monica was here. Also, the lovely Queen Whitney was here as well. I want to say thanks to each and every one of you who came into the live. And Juba came. Juba came. Okay, Juba. Welcome, my love. You came just in time as I was leaving. Here is Cad. Cad says, if you tell some people these things are in the Bible, they will never. Exact, girl, I tell you. If you tell some people that these things are in the Bible, they wouldn't believe you. Because I myself didn't know many of the things that I've read. I had absolutely no clue these things were in the Bible. I did not know it. But now that I'm reading it for myself, I know now for a fact what is in there and what is not. Because I'm reading it for myself, and that is why I've decided to share it with you all, so that we all can be on the same page, knowing, hella yes, this is in the Bible, regardless of what anyone else says. We know what is in there because we know what we have read. And I think some of these things have been deliberately kept from us for more obvious reasons than not. But anyway, that is that is going to be it, my friends. Join me tomorrow morning. I noticed, guys, that when I put up the video them, when I put up the video them, I not see But when I do live, I see Why I'm telling you, think me can do live every day. I can't do live all day long. So when I put up the video them, I am imploring you all to go watch the videos. Okay, gentle people? I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you all very much. And if you came into the live right now and you didn't hit the like button, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button if you did not hit the like button yet. But before I go, guys, I want to know if I eat my strawberry. I saw me show off pound. Hold on there. Why are you doing it, Trev? Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Guys, look. 3 strawberries. 3 strawberries out of my garden. Abe. My 3 delicious strawberries out of my garden. Can you believe it? My very own garden produced my very own strawberries. Oh, see that? I wish I could share it with y'all, but nobody's close by me, so I'm going to eat my strawberries by myself. All right, guys. So until tomorrow, guys, until I see you all tomorrow, Juba and the rest of y'all, have yourselves a great night, everybody. I'm gone to work. See you all later, guys. Have yourselves a great night. Until we meet again, this is Trev from Traversing, where your journey matters. See you later, my friends.